love you, baby, that's forever. Even though we may see a little stormy weather, got to keep this ship from capsizing. Got to keep our love line on the rise, yeah, because this time I feel it to the bone. Got to keep love strong. This time I feel it to the bone. Got to keep love strong. We chose each other out of all the fish in the sea. I cast my net out and I brought your love home to me. And I whisper in my talk with God above. I want to thank him for sending me you to love, because this time I feel it to the bone. Got to keep love strong. Keep it strong. This time I feel it to the bone. Got to keep love strong. I know that loving me has sent you through a change or two. Sometimes I wonder how you remain so true. If I forget to tell you, I hope that you can see the feeling in my heart and how much you mean to me, because this time I feel it to the bone. Got to keep love strong. Keep it strong. This time I feel it to the bone. Got to keep love strong. I love you, baby, that's forever. Even though we may see a little stormy weather, got to keep this ship from capsizing. Got to keep our love line on the rise, yeah, because...
Good evening. Welcome to Street Level. I'm Gregory Franklin, and this is Paul Blakey.
Good morning.
And Street Level is a program that gives you an opportunity to talk about whatever's on your mind. We'll start things off by just talking about some things that we have. I think Paul wants to trash somebody today, and I want to trash Bob Packwood a little bit more, because I just have a thing about him. Anyway, just before we went on this morning, one of the local cable access producers here at PCA handed us a videotape that we're going to use as a roll-in somewhere around 8:30 tonight. And we were able to preview it before we put it on the air, and please stay tuned for this. It's an important video, and it was done by some teenage kids in this program trying to get them out of the whole drug and gang thing.
Oh, is that right?
That's a nice piece of work too.
All right.
Also, we have a trivia contest, and I'm going to ask you a trivia question, and if you can answer it correctly, why, we're going to give you one of these cool prizes back here, which you will see come up on your screen at some point during the show. Anyway, they'll put those up for you. Anyway, you have your choice between those three items. We have a Gary Morris tape for people who like country and western music, Mr. Mister for people who like rock and roll, and for people who really want to look cool, there's this hat, one of which we gave away last week, and this I made my very own self just for you. The trivia contest question, I'll go ahead and give you that now, so if you want to think about it or go to your trivia books and look it up or whatever you do. The question will be, when you call us, we'll we'll ask you if you want to answer the trivia question. And here's the question that we're going to ask you. We all know superstar Janet Jackson as an accomplished singer, songwriter, and dancer, but few of you may remember that she got her start in show business as a child actress. She played a recurring role as the adopted daughter of a next-door neighbor, played by actress Jeanette Dubois, in what popular and controversial 70s sitcom? What was the name of the sitcom that Janet Jackson started her show business career in? And so anybody who calls up tonight, if you want to answer that question, let us know. We'll give you an opportunity. And if you answer the question correctly, we're going to give you one of those prizes. Anyway, we have a list of things that we will not talk about. And the thing that we are not going to talk about today is the list of things that we are not going to talk about.
Oh,
So if
cute.
somebody comes up,
that's real cute.
if somebody calls up and has to talk about Elvis sightings, I guess we're going to have to go with it tonight. So,
Elvis sightings?
yeah, we're going to allow talk about Elvis sightings. I don't really want to do it, but
Okay.
Paul, you want to trash big business, don't you?
Well, yeah, but you know what it is? I've been thinking about that sales tax, and you know, the more I think about it, I don't know. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about right now. The sales tax.
Okay.
I think it's a crazy idea. They just gave us an extra tax on gasoline, 4 cents a gallon from the feds, and then the state tried to back that up with another 2 cents. I mean, like, what is this? Come out of my pocket week? And I don't know. The best idea I've heard so far was if there was an editorial in the Oregonian a couple days ago, last week actually. It says one of the things on the board is to cut entitlements by 10% for every $10,000 worth of income over $40,000. For example, if you make $50,000, they would cut your entitlements by 10%. Social Security, Medicare, school programs, whatever. Every 10% up to 85%. So that means regardless of your income, you'd still get 15%, which is, I mean, something's better than nothing. And that's the best program I've heard so far. One of the problems with any tax, cigarette, value-added tax, sales tax, any of them, is that they all fall on the same people, the poor, more. I mean, these are the people who can't afford them. I mean, they force you to make choices between whatever goods you want or need to buy versus, you know, trying to, you know, do what you have to do. I mean, and that's not really what this is about, because in the end, the money that they say we're going to get from it, we won't get, because people are forced to make different choices. And one of the things that really bothered me is a couple of the companies, the gas companies, they have made profit off this last gas tax.
You were talking to me about that the other day, and I'm not sure I understand how that works. Explain that to me.
Well, the tax was 4 cents a gallon.
Okay.
And some of the increases have been as much as 7 cents a gallon. Okay, well, if it's a 4 cent tax, that's all the increase you should see. But the fact that it's, you know, double, almost double, okay, means that some companies are making money on this tax. They figure you're not paying attention.
Does that happen in Oregon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I don't drive, so, you know.
Yeah, but it's happened all over the country. I mean, I'm sure it has. But, you know, some stations have increased their things more than the tax. And, you know, I think it's just an example of people making money, companies making money on government red ink. You know, I mean, we're supposed to all be chipping in to help get rid of the deficit. That's what that tax is about. And, you know, companies are saying, well, we can make a few extra bucks on this. And they will. You know, every time you fill up the gas tank, you know, it's an extra, see, for me, it's about 10 gallons, so that's 3 cents a gallon. It's 30 cents a tank. That's a lot when you think about it.
Well, when you think about how many tanks get filled up in a state, for example.
Exactly, yeah.
So the sales tax you don't like?
No, and that's the other thing. It also gives more money to the people who have stores, because what they do is they figure up all their sales all in one lump sum. But they don't charge you that way. They'll charge you like, you'll end up giving them an extra penny for every dollar, or half a cent, and they'll end up making, you know, $200 to $300 a week in that little, in the difference. It's about
nice work if you can get it.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as the sales tax is concerned, you're preaching to the choir here. I don't think that there should be a sales tax. You know.
Well, one of the other things they came out in the paper with, I was like real curious as to how much it was going to cost them to administrate this thing. And they came out and said it would cost about $300,000 a year to implement the sales tax administrative costs.
And they stand to raise somewhat
That's
12,
what they say.
$12
Okay,
million.
what they're going to end up, you're going to lose some sales because of the tax.
Mhm.
You will definitely lose some. I mean, they're being optimistic. That's they're saying we can make this. Well, yeah, they could.
Well,
But-
first of all, I mean, I remember when the whole idea of the sales tax was being proposed by Governor Roberts when she was when Measure 5 was up. She had already started talking about a sales tax, and there were these dire predictions about what was going to happen to the state of Oregon. She herself said that people were going to die. Okay, what they didn't anticipate is that the state of Oregon grew during that period, and property values increased. So the amount of money that Oregonians actually paid in taxes surpassed the year before, even though Measure 5 was in effect. And I think one of the things that when Oregon economists are making decisions about what Measure 5 is going to mean, are failing to take into consideration a steady growth in the state itself. It may not be necessary to do anything about Measure 5 at all, other than just adhere to it like the people of the state of Oregon requested.
Well, I think we're going to need to do something. I mean, the schools are suffering. I think, first of all, lottery.
That's another. Don't get me started.
Well, I think they should do
Don't
something
get me
about the lottery. Just take the lottery money and put that to school and forget about business. I have this thing about business. If you can't take care of yourself, why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Go get a job.
You know what the rationale is, though, right?
No.
The rationale is that if you're good to business, business will provide jobs for Oregonians, and that's important because that does a lot for the tax base. If people are not working, then they're not paying taxes. And if people are working, then they are. Okay, so by putting money into business, the rationale is that you are increasing your tax base because there will be more people in the state who have money who can pay taxes on it. And I think that to a degree that's a good idea, but I don't think that in a climate where we're having some major problems educating our children that we should be spending huge amounts of money on cosmetic surgery to the city, like a new East Bank to the Willamette River. What's more important to us, a pretty-looking East Bank or educated kids?
Well,
What's more important to us, a new Blazer Arena or educated children?
Well, okay. Thing is, if the business cannot work without all this money out of this allowance from us, is it worth it? Okay, because we are still paying these people. I mean, it's still welfare.
Mm-hmm.
If they cannot do without our money, they can't do the business without our money. Why do it? I mean, we're giving them the money anyway. I mean, if providing jobs, they've cut back so many. It's really questionable as to whether it's good or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for us to be providing so much resources for business. I mean, just get smaller businesses. We don't need.
That's the whole
major-
idea behind the lottery is to cultivate small businesses, because I think the state of Oregon is aware of the fact that that's where the jobs are going to be coming from. Big businesses are not really helping the state of Oregon very much at all.
They don't help anybody, really. I really don't think so. They I mean, there's a guy making $5 million. There's a guy on the other end of the scale making, $4.75 an hour. And, to me, it's really questionable whether we should be giving them tax breaks. If they can't make it and this guy's making $5 million a year, take your $5 million and run.
Mm-hmm.
Get out. That's what I think.
The story about big business I thought was brought home for me last night. I was watching Connie Chung, and there was a story on Kmart executives. Did you happen to see that?
No, I didn't.
It was real interesting. They were talking about how currently there seems to be a policy at Kmart is that once store managers reach a certain age, then they start giving them bad reviews and bad performance reviews and demote them so that they can save money, so they don't have to pay all that money, and because these people are old. Okay, it was on Connie Chung last night. I thought it was really interesting. There were like 20 executives that are joined together in a class action suit against Kmart for demotions and stuff like that. Once you reach a certain income level and a certain age in Kmart, they're one of their cost-cutting measures is to either demote or fire these people.
How old is the chairman of the board?
I don't know. He's probably about 60. The people
I
who
bet
they
he's
were,
not getting this. Bet he doesn't fall into that program.
the people who were part of the lawsuit were all, I think they were all over 45.
Were they managers?
Yeah, they were store managers.
Really?
Yeah, and most of them had been with the company for like somewhere between 17 to like 30 years. You know, and I thought, wow, that's a perfect example of you know, big business manipulating income without regard to the human cost. Okay, and I really do think that that's bad. But I mean, since there's a definite movement in our economy right now, as far as I can tell, to go to small businesses.
Well, I mean, they're the ones who keep big business honest, I think, because if a guy has to fight for his life every day, like that commercial, we earn our wings every day.
Mm-hmm.
Service, the quality of the product, be there where you say, finish the job on time. Big business doesn't have that behind them. They don't have to do it. Where are you going to go?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're the only ones you can go to. If they start having this neighborhood competition, maybe, that will keep them a little more honest, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Do we, you know that you can call us tonight. We're live. If it's Tuesday, we're live, and you can call us. And our number is, what?
We may not look live, but we are. 288-4442.
I'm live.
Or 288-4448.
So.
Okay. Why don't you tell about the videos?
Oh, yeah. The video that we have for tonight is called Tales of the Bloods and the Crips. It was produced by Judy Lowe of Portland Productions Incorporated, and it features MC Salt. And if it's ready, we'll play it right now. And if it's not, then we won't.
Okay.
Okay. We got about a minute.
Okay, well, why don't you, if you have any videos, you can send yours in, your ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you tell them about that?
Okay. One of the ideas that we had with this program is to give you an opportunity to say what you want to say on television. If you have an opinion and you want to do a little editorial or something, just sit in front of your video camera and give us about 5 minutes of your best, or even if you have a music video, if you're in a band or something, or if you're a comedian, or if you just want to be goofy on TV, here's an opportunity. What you can do is send us a video. It can be on any subject, but must be on VHS format, no longer than 5 minutes in length. Tapes cannot be returned without sufficient packaging and postage included. Remember, we cannot play commercials on the show, so don't send us any commercials unless they are clearly comedy commercials. Comedy commercials you can do if it's not for a real product like Brand X.
Oh, yeah, so Brand X soapbox.
We will be getting on our soapbox a little later in the show. And
that's what I live for.
I know. Anyway, if you want to send us, we're ready with the video? Good. Let's run the video. This one is called Tales of the Bloods and the Crips.
In the beginning, black men lived in unity. We were hunting and providing, keeping up our own community. Black fathers with the secrets of the pyramids passed on to their black sons the knowledge of the pyramids. This was the beginning of black man's descent into 360 degrees of wisdom. At birth, starting with 33 1/3 of understanding, we as a people live, taught, and obtain a physical and metaphysical realm of reality, only to be tricked and misled, not by the powers of nature, but by the evasions of the racist Caucasoid, who brought us across the vast seas, landed on the island of St. Troy, St. Cruz, St. Thomas, Belize, Trinidad, and at last these Americanas to be whipped, broken down, and enslaved for 440 years. And to this very day, our greatest enemy is ourselves.
Why?
And these are the tales of the
I got
Crip
license
and Blood son.
and I got full coverage insurance. I pay $66
Check it
a
out.
month.
So you're crippin' real hard, bring a death to a brother, just because of disrespect to one's own color. Looking back just 40 years, creation of the Klan. These men were doing the same to us black men. Black men holding signs all over my land. I'm saying we will march it just as long as we can. The seed is innate, a part of black genetics, not made in a lab, and only blacks can get it. America has a century-old debt to be paid. It was signed, contracted in the Emancipation Day. We must not forget about the freedom of the march, bombing of the church and killing blacks after dark. King was a black man, not a crip or pyro, speaking against slavery and saying we must try to overcome these odds. Stand up for your rights, staying at your best without pumping up the fight. I'm not trying to tell you to put down your colors. Let's each side stand up, represent the other. You Crips standing up for the rights of my brothers. Pyro's making sure we educate each other. Destroy the Ku Klux Klan, his version of his hope. Clean up my backyard, feed him back his dope. Make him see reality, understand my move, because a black man is one nation under a groove. Yesterday at 5 p.m., 27 black youths lined at the gravesite of Natisha Evans, who was tragically killed as a result of a drive-by shooting. Niggers killing niggers. Each and every one must stand in order, taking care of your homes and your mothers and your daughters. The male of the black seed might as well indeed. Read and write, educate, teach all my little seeds from every day that passes. My wounds are getting bigger from the constant voice of Klansman calling me a nigger. We would overcome. Inside lives my dream. The prophecy, the voice, Martin Luther King. Depths of his grave, I can still hear this message. One strong voice, then the very clear passage. Hoping one day all across this land, freedom and equality for every man. So eat as you wish, I live as I choose. I try to live by this golden rule, but something went wrong, there's a drive-by shooting. My brothers killing brothers, many are polluting. Look at the graveyard filled with young black men in the penitentiaries doing 20s and 10s. What about your children, your beautiful wives, doing hard labor for the rest of your lives? Young little children respect this as a role model, tossing up the 40s, drinking straight from the bottle. They kicking in the park, school bell just rang, sagging real hard, thinking life is just a game bang. Going to the jail, age of 15, you're trying to play hard, you're trying to look so mean. Lack of education, you can't read your own right. About how that goes, you have none insight. Many blacks have died for the rights of education, standing up against the Klan men segregation. Every time you pull a trigger, killing off your own kind of cold, deadly blow to the gift of gold black mark. Going back to Birmingham where King was in full march, bombing up the church and killing blacks, got King spark. He marched on Washington, delivered the dream speech. Millions of my people came to listen to the King preach, chanted by the words, fear of black power. The whites got together, debated on an hour. Then on the balcony of Memphis, 1968, a bullet killed my king. The nation lied in shock and wait, the movement had to stop. It made us black men stronger. Living on the run, it couldn't last no longer. Killing of my prophet don't stop my cries, because a black man don't die, we just multiply. But blacks are selling drugs, gold, Dayton's, and bows. The big gold chains, then that fat bank rose. The cars, telephones that were put on tap. Like the mouse hooked on cheese, you just fell for the trap. You're the envy of my homies, the boys in the hood. And knowledge of the jackal, which ain't no good. As you travel down the boulevard, you think it's a joke. As you made your left turn, your coat got smoked. What is it all worth? The product of the Klansmen, a cold, clever plan to end the span of black men. Brothers get together, let's march in unity, throwing up our faith back in the black communities. So learn to read and write, understand your world. The visions of a black man's like a golden pearl. So let's spare the life of each and every black man, hand in hand together, restoring the planet of the Klan man. Peace up, brothers. We must come together. We must understand. Divided, we stand as nobody. United, we one economic empire as one. Peace.
Tales of the Bloods and the Crips. That's some pretty serious stuff. Anyway, that video was done by exclusively by former Asian gang members who are under the age of 18. Now, the guy who you saw on the screen, I think he's over 18. He was the talent. His name is MC Salt. And I think that was an excellent video. That's one of the best ones that we've done, that we've had on the
Good
show.
one, yeah.
Anyway, to Judy Lowe and Portland Productions Incorporated, thank you not only for getting these kids together to do the video, but thank you very much for lending it to us so that we could play it on Street Level.
Sure.
So, this week, the jury handed down decisions in the Reginald Denny beating case. Oh, we got a phone call? Great, let's take the phone call. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Good.
Well, you guys were talking about the sales tax earlier.
Yeah.
I heard on the radio last week that the initiative was too complex. It actually had 4 different things in it.
And I believe that that might be unconstitutional.
Right. Have you heard anything further on that, whether the state senate?
No,
Yeah,
I haven't.
They decided that they were going to let it sit like it is because it's going to cost too much money to redo it.
Well, they couldn't because all the ballots have already been printed and,
Yeah, well,
and
they
the
should.
voters' pamphlets and everything. So they couldn't change it, but they were petitioning to leave it as it is.
Yeah, well,
Even though it's unconstitutional. Isn't
why
that
they're-
interesting?
Yeah, you know why they're doing that though, right?
Well, they're trying to pass it.
Yeah, that's right. You know, they're tying it into property tax, lottery, and cutting the property tax, lottery, sales tax, and one other thing. I can't remember what it is, so they can push it through.
And evidently, according to the Constitution, a ballot measure can only be about one subject, and this one happens to be about 4. Is that how you understand it?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I find this really interesting because also, in relation to the same subject, House Bill 3500, which was supposed to stop local communities from enforcing any anti-gay ordinances, okay? Now, they passed that bill, but the elections in those areas still went on. I mean, they still went on with the elections anyway.
Yeah.
And I
They're still
wonder,
doing 'em.
I wonder what that's about. I mean, I think the Secretary of State does have the power to actually stop the election on any ballot measure that is either illegal or unconstitutional. And why Phil Kiesling is not doing that, I don't know. I really don't understand. But the thing's not going to pass anyway. So I mean, we're going through all this stuff for nothing.
What's your feeling about the sales tax?
Well, California and Washington both have sales tax, but neither one of those states have state income tax. And in my opinion, it is actually double taxation, which is against the United States Constitution, and therefore should be declared unconstitutional anyway.
Having a sales tax and an income tax?
And a state income tax.
Yeah. Actually, I never even thought about that. Wow, that's really
Well,
interesting.
you know, Washington is trying to implement their their state income tax all over again, because they don't have enough money either.
Well, personally, I think that in business, if a company is not being economically feasible, it inevitably will be taken over by a larger company. A headhunter will go in and start cutting out all the dead weight, rearranging things so that it is more smoother run and that money isn't being wasted on things that it shouldn't be. I mean, it was, about 6 months ago, they had an article in the Oregonian that janitors were making more than teachers.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah,
find
right.
that difficult to believe
Right.
either.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, do you ever hear about anybody buying school supplies at Costco?
And why don't they?
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Good point. Good
And,
point.
they could be doing work-study programs for janitorial work rather than, spending the money that they are, or on painting.
Right. Right.
Actually, yeah.
Well, I think you've made a very good point. We could definitely spend our money a whole lot better ways than what we are doing.
Especially in it. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, I know who this is. I'm just, Kat, how are you doing tonight? I want to give you an opportunity to answer a trivia question. You want to take it on?
Oh my gosh, it was.
I'll read it again if you want.
Yeah, I just didn't watch very much TV then.
Okay, we all know superstar Janet Jackson as an accomplished singer, songwriter, and dancer, but few of you may remember that she got her start in show business as a child actress. She played a recurring role as the adopted daughter of a next-door neighbor, played by actress Jeanette Dubois, in what popular, controversial 70s sitcom? Take a wild stab in the dark.
I can't. Let's see. Next door neighbor.
Okay, I'll give you one clue. Kid Dynamite.
Yeah, J.J. Jackson. I can't think of. No, I can't think of the name of the show. I can see all the characters, but I can't think of the name of the show.
What a shame. I wanted to give you this hat. Actually, I wouldn't give you this one. I'd give you a smaller version that looks just like it. Did you have anything else you wanted?
camera for you, and then you could pay me in a hat.
I'm sorry?
I said I could come do camera for you, and you could pay me in a hat.
Great, great.
Okay.
Thanks for calling, Kat.
Sure.
Okay, our phone number, for any of you who want to call, our phone number is 288-4442 or 288-4448. Anyway, this week the jury decision came down in the Reginald Denny beating, and I was just curious, because I hadn't talked to you about this at all. I'm really curious about how you feel about that.
Well, I'm kind of bummed out about it personally. I hope they sit down and figure out what they're going to do. If those are the people, it was brought up that they might not be part of that, the people who did actually beat him up. But if they are, I hope they don't get away scot-free, because I wouldn't want to pass that message on either.
Well, as I understand it, that the charges that they have actually been found guilty of are not real serious charges, and the most that they could get is something like 6 or 7 years.
They got found guilty of them today?
This was yesterday.
They had been found guilty of nothing yesterday. Nothing, absolutely nothing. They had attempted mayhem, and the ones they had left were attempted murder, and there was one other charge. There was one charge per person left. Okay.
That had not been decided?
Right.
Yeah, but they had been found guilty of minor charges.
Nothing.
Oh.
They were vindicated on all of them as of yesterday.
Well, in the news last night, it was on CBS Evening News, they said that they have been convicted of minor charges, one each, I think, and one of them might be
like
let go
misdemeanors
entirely.
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I heard something about that.
But I guess in charges not related to the Reginald Denny beating, okay, decisions still have to be handed down on those.
Yeah, there was some robbery and some stuff like that. But looks like we got a phone call.
All right. That was an interesting phone call.
Hey.
So
Well
if you tried to
spoken.
call us and didn't get through, call back.
Yeah.
Our number is 288-4442 or 288-4448. Anyway,
Hello.
hi.
Hi, my name is Linda.
Hi, Linda. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
Thanks for calling. What do you have on your mind tonight?
Well, I have an answer for the trivia question.
You do?
Yes.
What is it?
Good times?
You're right.
All right.
Yeah.
Why don't you look at our prizes here and pick out which one you want?
I want the hat.
You want the hat?
Yeah.
You got it.
Great.
Don't hang up the phone, because you have to tell our people what your address is and all that, and I'll send it to you, okay?
Okay.
Congratulations. And listen, don't go. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about, or you just wanted to take the hat and run?
I just wanted to take the hat and run.
Okay.
I like your show.
Okay, you can do that too.
Okay.
Thanks for calling.
All
Thanks.
right.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we gave away another prize. I like it.
That's 2 in a row.
Here I'll model that for you. So you can see just how cool this hat is.
And how you're going to look in this hat.
Really. Anyway, my reaction to it is that I thought it was fair, but I thought it was fair only because the police had gotten off so easy in the beating of Rodney King. And those two were very much interrelated, I think, because of when, why, and how they occurred. And I think that it would have been a real drag if the people who beat Reginald Denny would have been treated different by the judicial system than the police who had beaten Rodney King. because it was essentially the same thing.
They, you know, originally I felt that same way, but I don't feel that, you know, crime should be, you know, paired off like line dancing. I think, you know, like one of the problems we really have to worry about is, are we influencing juries and, you know, people to say yes or no?
I don't believe that it was possible for that jury not to be influenced by what happened around the Rodney King beating and the riots that ensued, and the very real probability of riots ensuing if they would have done anything different than what they did, okay? And I'm looking at that situation. Personally, I think that everybody who beat anybody should be in jail for a long period of time. But if the police are going to be let off easy, then the people who did the converse beating should be let off easy as well, okay? I mean, I look at that whole situation, and what is fair? The beatings were essentially identical. They were just performed by different people, that's all.
Different uniforms.
Yeah, different uniforms.
You got a phone call?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I have some comments. First of all, I'd like to say that as far as I'm concerned, and I think as far as the general public is concerned, the police have a double standard. They feel as though that they can shoot people, beat people up, violate people's constitutional rights at will anytime they want, and not pay for it because they are police officers. And I'll give you an example of that situation. You take, for instance, the Shaw boy that was killed by the Portland police at 97th and Gleason. The cops had absolutely no business shooting that 20-year-old kid.
Was that the one that was holding the hostage?
No, that's the one that was suspected of the car theft, and they staked out his place. It was just about a month ago. And
the guy was backing up or something?
Yeah, they said that he was backing up, attempting to run over a police officer. But you see, the reality of that situation is, and the truth of that situation is that the way that the police had him hemmed in, they had several police cars surrounding the vehicle that he was in control of, butted up against the rail over the freeway. So there was absolutely no way that he could get away, and there was no way that he could harm any of those police officers because of the fact he was not armed in any way. If he was trying to get away, all they would have had they had their cars there, okay? The cops had their cars there. There's no way that he could have got away from them. And the way that I see that situation, it's very simple. The police nowadays are trigger happy. They pulled their guns and they blew this kid away for absolutely no reason whatsoever with a 14-year-old girl sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Okay? They could have maced him. If he were trying to get away, they could have squirted him with mace, drug him out of the car, turned his car off, and no one would have gotten hurt. Okay? Same situation in Washington County with the burglary suspects that were running away.
Now I was gonna talk about this on the show. Yeah.
That cop shot that guy in the back. As far as I'm
he was running away.
As far as I'm concerned, that police officer is a coward. He shot him in the back. The man was running away. He was no threat to anyone. He was running away. You don't shoot somebody for running. And as a citizen, I'm fed up. I'm sick and tired of the police using these heavy-handed tactics when it comes to controlling or so-called controlling a situation.
Do you think that all police are guilty of this?
I don't think that all police are guilty of this, but I think that it's a general mindset within the various police departments throughout the country that they view the problem is that the police officers view their lives more important than your life or my life. And the reality of that situation is, as far as I'm concerned, we're the one paying their wages. We're the ones that put them in that position. And we've entrusted them to protect us and not to pull their guns and shoot us at will because they're pissed off at us or because they
Who
have
protects
some
the
kind
people?
of a personal grievance against us. I think that any police officer that shoots someone under any of those circumstances, and we've had at least a half a dozen of those kinds of shootings within the last year or so.
Now, I noticed this to be true.
I think those police officers, that's murder. It's
Right,
plain and simple.
exactly.
That is
Good point.
murder. Let's hang them. Let's give them the death sentence like they'd give you or me or anybody else. Because the reality house, and I recognized them as a burglary suspect, and they ran away from me, and I told them to stop, and they did not stop, and I shot them in the back, I'd be headed for death row.
That's
Let's
where
do
you'd
the
be.
same
Yeah,
damn
exactly.
thing to the cops.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's make them accountable for their actions.
I think this is really interesting that you should bring this up because you are right, and this is not just your impression. It actually has been increasing over the last couple of years. Now, the first question that came to my mind when I thought about this, who is training the Portland police in the use of deadly force? And whoever that is, I think it's time to reassess that person's job performance.
But wait a minute, okay, I think, you know, like, okay, the Rodney King trial, the Waco, you know, and the shootings that we see in the paper almost every week are, you know, they're emblematic of everything that's going on all over the country. I think, you know, what's your name again?
Are you still there? I guess he's gone.
They're, you know, I mean, I think it says there's a problem all through the country, the same problem, because police have, you know, they, you know, he brought it up, a mindset. They're being trained to shoot first, ask later. Got another caller.
Great. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Hi.
there.
How are you?
Good.
What you have on your mind tonight?
I want to talk to you about what you're talking about.
Sure, go ahead.
I think you're wrong.
Okay, go ahead. Why?
Well, because being a victim of crime, I think it's good that there is a little bit of police action putting these people in the right place.
What do you consider the right place?
I think deadly force is correct if it's necessary.
Okay.
I get tired of being a victim of crime.
Yeah. Do you think that deadly force should be used if somebody is in the process of, say, a burglary, for example?
Why not?
I don't know if the punishment fits the crime. I mean, what's fair?
Okay, if somebody were stealing your car, would you shoot them?
I think they should be shot if they're stealing my car.
I mean, put to death, you mean?
Why not?
Okay.
Why should I be a victim of crime? Have you been a victim of crime recently?
Well, not recently, but I have, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
how did you feel?
I felt raped.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So the point is right now that there are more criminals than there are police.
That's a true story.
Okay. So I've been.
But there are
victim
more
of crime
decent
in the
people than there are
last
criminals.
year and a half. My house has been broken into. My car's been broken into twice.
Really?
My car was stolen in July. So I'm sick and tired of criminals.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it
And
takes
well,
to
you
get
should
these guys off the street, I think it's fine. Furthermore, these guys are few. There's a few policemen that are trying to protect a lot of people.
Yeah.
They never get enough credit for the job they do.
I agree.
You guys are there attacking these guys.
I'm not attacking all police.
For being out there and trying to do a job that you two there would not do. Would you guys
true,
do
too.
it? Why don't you guys
Let me
go
stand
patrol,
up for that
patrol
one,
the streets and
you're
protect the
right
people
there.
instead of complaining about the process? You guys get off on complaining instead of trying to help the situation.
Okay, don't get me wrong. I don't want to talk about any individual police officer, but I think the process that that a lot of cops go through is misguided. Okay, I mean, I have to agree with you. Crime is not great, put it that way. And I would like to see something done, but I don't think the death penalty is the way to go, especially on the street death penalty.
You know, this guy that got shot out in Hillsborough,
Yeah.
you know, the guy had a criminal record. They're finding other things that he was involved with. He was fleeing from the police. You know, whether or not the guy deserved to be shot, you know, for that mere act is to be debated on. But if the guy is involved in a criminal activity, he must be willing to pay the price for his actions.
And I definitely think he
didn't
should.
have anything to hide, he should have stopped. But, you know, as you dig deeper and deeper, I mean, you know, there's a lot more to it than just merely saying the guy was shot in the back,
Mm-hmm.
you know, fleeing from the police.
Well, okay, you know, there's one. Okay, you said it right. I would not want to be in a cop's shoes because I don't think as fast as a cop has to. Okay, I mean, he's got that much time to figure out, should I shoot him or let him go or just wait? You know, I mean, I don't want to be in that situation, and I cannot condemn the police for the decisions they do make, but I think it's the overall procedure. I mean, there's other steps. I don't like guns, and that's part of my rationale for the way I feel. I think that we rely too heavily on them as opposed to figuring out other ways to take care of the same problem.
How would you take care of the problem?
I don't know. That's why I'm not a cop, and I'm glad of it. Okay, I
Yeah.
personally do not know, but I don't like guns. Gregory and I have talks about this all the time. If somebody broke in my house, what would I do? Well, given the situation, you know, I live on the ground floor. I'd probably tell my wife to get out the window. And then, you know, we fought about that. Well, why should you leave your house because somebody else is coming in?
I had that opinion.
Right. Well,
I
I mean,
think that if somebody is coming in your house, okay, and you have a firearm, you should be able to shoot them. I agree with that. The one thing before we go on though, the one thing I want to clear up, I don't want to give anybody the impression that I think that all the Portland police force is bad. That's not. There are a few people on the force who have a history of violence, and these people are involved in these particular situations. I'm asking questions about who it is that is training them in the use of deadly force. I think for the most part in my dealings with the Portland police in relation to the crimes that have been committed against me, they have been very helpful and I've really appreciated them.
yeah.
But the fact is that people are still being killed, and I don't think that people should be killed for what is pretty much minor crimes.
yeah, well, if you can, yeah, okay. I agree with that.
Caller, you still there?
We got another one now.
Well, whoever you are, thanks. You had those were
Great,
some really
yeah.
thought-provoking comments, and
Oh,
I appreciate
definitely.
you telling me about
Call
that.
again.
And sometimes I need to be put in my place. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the caller that called before this last guy.
Uh-huh.
And I'm calling back because I just want to say that as far as I'm concerned, this individual that just called has been brainwashed by the political system to believe that it is okay for a police officer to kill somebody simply because they have a criminal record. What I want to say is, he who is without sin, let him cast the first stone.
Or bullet, as it were.
You know,
I don't like the idea of these people not being tried and being killed on the street for a crime that they may have committed in the past. I agree with you 100%.
That's right. I mean, who, you know, who makes the decision over life and death?
The guy
Okay?
with the gun,
Hopefully not the Portland Police Bureau or any other police bureau.
Especially not ones that have a history of
If
violence.
a police officer kills somebody without provocation or shoots somebody in the back, they should get the same penalty as you or I should get, regardless of that person's criminal past or history.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
And it is simply just not fair to do these kinds of things to people based on their past.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and it's not right to shoot somebody in the back that's running away.
And these police officers who were actually fired the bullet could not possibly have been aware of this guy's past history unless he knew who the guy was.
Well, they did know who he was because an informant had called and said that he was there. He was a probation violator and that kind of thing. But still, the fact of the matter is, they had it boxed in. He couldn't get away. They opened fire. They killed an unarmed person. If you or I did that, we'd be up for murder. And it's that simple. And we need to hold the police at the same standards that the police hold us at. And our society needs to stand up and say, we're not going to tolerate this kind of activity from a police officer or anybody else. We're just not going to do it. If you kill somebody without provocation, you're going to pay a price.
Yeah.
No matter who you are.
We both agree with accountability, but it's kind of questionable how you do that because you don't really want to handcuff the police. You know, if you get into a situation, you don't want an officer thinking lawsuit first and then safety later. You know,
Because
so
they may get killed.
they or you know whoever is they're trying to save. But you know, it's a really questionable situation as to how to do that. It's a touchy situation. I'm sure glad I don't have to figure it out or be a cop.
I think the one thing that disturbs me though is this one police officer who was just fired from his job for shooting somebody. I can't remember who it was, but in the department he is known to have a history of using excessive violence on people. Who was the guy who was just fired? Do you remember his name? Does anybody?
No.
Okay.
He's the one who shot that guy. He shot at him 22 times.
23 times. He had to stop and reload twice, shooting at this guy who was running away from him, who was evidently drunk and causing some trouble on a TriMet bus. You know,
Well,
and
they say
I'm looking.
drinking kills, and hey, there you go.
Man,
Yeah.
I think we have another caller. I don't want to gab. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, am I clear?
Yeah.
Well, what happened to me was 2 years ago on Halloween. I was attacked. Well, there was there was a fight outside of a party, and I stayed and talked to the police to tell them what happened, and they wanted to know what my name was, and they asked me for my ID, and I gave them all the information, and then they told me they were going to furnish me with a ride home because people had broken up and everybody had left, and I'd lost my ride, and so I agreed, and then they told me that I had to be handcuffed to be put in the back of the car, so I agreed at that point. Then they drove past my house on Multnomah, and I protested at that point, saying, "You're passing my house," and they said, "Well, you're intoxicated, and we're going to take you to detox." Once we got into detox, another officer came around from behind the counter and told me I looked really hot, and it was Halloween evening, and I was wearing like a Mexican senorita dress, and he said that I should be out on Union making some money, and I'm not that type of person. And I felt really offended, and I said, "You can't say that to me," and he threw me on the ground, lifted my hands up, and dislocated my wrist, kicked me in the side, dragged me outside with my hands still handcuffed behind my back by my hands into the parking lot, and ground my face into the gravel with his boot, dragged me up on my knees and threw me against the fence, ripped my dress down the back and down the front, unhandcuffed me, threw me on the ground again, and told me to get the hell out of the parking lot. He said, "Get the hell out of here." I crawled to 7-Eleven around the corner on Burnside, and two Mexicans who had seen the whole thing happen helped me. I was in shock at this point. I could not get anything out of my purse to call anything. Another officer pulled up in the parking lot, tried to talk to me, was very kind, helped me into the car, took me back to detox, went into the detox building, talked to some of the intake officials there, and said what was done. He came back out in the parking lot and told me what was done to me was wrong, and he was taking me home. When I got home, I couldn't move my hands, so I had to call an ambulance. They came and they relocated my shoulder. Then they asked me who did this, and when I told them it was police, I was still in shock. I was in fetal position on my couch for about 12 hours, and another sergeant came and took a report, and then he called me back first thing in the morning. I had not slept, and told me that if I wanted to pursue charges, it could be very unhealthy for me. This happened in Portland a year and a half ago. The officer that brutalized me was Officer King. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Did you press charges?
No. I'm scared to death of the Portland police. I was robbed a month ago at gunpoint in my home, and when I called the police, they told me that lightning seemed to strike me often, and that they would file a report, but they weren't going to do a damn thing about it.
Wow.
And that's reality. And I have all these things documented because I was going to go to an attorney.
That's important.
And I talked to an attorney, and he told me that if I was threatened by the police, it was almost better to just leave it alone.
I don't agree with that lawyer. I think you should get another lawyer.
Well,
And I really do believe that you should hold the police accountable for what they did to you. Okay, the story that you told me right here, this is a horror story. And I'm really sorry that this happened to you. And I really do encourage you to pursue it, okay? There are things that good police can do to protect you from bad police, okay? That is a fact. The point of the matter is that they will continue to get away with doing things like that if you and I as citizens allow them to continue, okay?
Yeah,
There are
if nobody says anything, they'll continue. Things will get worse.
because they can, okay?
Yeah.
I say that if you have the opportunity to stop them from doing it, do everything that you can to stop them from doing it,
most
please.
definitely.
And for your own safety, okay? Teach the police that they can't treat you like that. You're an American citizen.
The hell, you're paying them. You know, I mean, it's like having a butler. If he doesn't act the way you want to, fire him.
And so, are you still there? Okay, if you're gone, I do want to tell you, consult another lawyer, and keep calling lawyers until you get a lawyer who understands what's happening and wants to work with you on it. That is what you should do.
Yeah.
Don't let this drop. Don't let this drop. This is not okay.
Don't listen to the police. I mean, you know, but you gotta be strong and persevere, because they will not give up. They're not going to just say, okay.
And if they do take action against you,
You got to persevere.
document it
Yes.
and pursue it.
Yeah, stick with it. You really do.
We have another caller.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, not bad. I just want to make a few comments. And
Please do.
I've been watching your show, and I think it's great you have a forum for this. Regarding the prior caller, I have some concerns with how excited he is over pressing murder charges on the policeman who was involved in that shooting in the back. I think that we have to look at things rationally, and the thing that scares me is, we all have an obligation. I mean, I don't understand why we get so excited when the person needed to do was just, stop when the policeman asked him to stop. And if he didn't have anything wrong, then obviously he would have stopped. But, he continues on to run, and we don't know what the situation was, and I don't know the whole story, but I have a feeling that, it was a situation that was a judgment call for the officer, and I think it's kind of unfair to just, read the newspaper and then making a judgment like he is so vehemently. And that kind of worries me,
Mm-hmm. We, one of the problems that we have is, we do read the newspaper, and they provide the newspaper so they can get us excited one way or the other about it. But, excuse me, I think you're right. It is a judgment call, and, thank God I'm not a cop. And I'm sure everybody in Portland is real glad of that too.
Except the police. I mean, there are police that are that are part of the Portland Police Department that are dedicated people, and what's in their heart is serving the people and protecting them from the bad guys. But that doesn't mean that all police are like that. And I think that we do have to hold police accountable who are not like that.
Well, if the guy screwed up, if he made a mistake, it costs a life, and it's regrettable. But those things will happen. We are people. And I think we have to recognize that too. We do have to take, some of the bad with the good in situations like this. Mm-hmm. But again, like I said, I don't know what the answer is, and I'm sure glad nobody's asking me.
I'm really glad that we're talking about it, because we will get closer to an answer by bringing it out and continuing to talk about it. Huh?
By 9?
Yeah, we're almost finished here. Huh? Listen, before we go, I just want to say I want to thank the callers who called in tonight. You were just really interesting.
Oh, yeah,
I had a really good time talking to you tonight.
It was good.
And I want to congratulate our winner who won a hat tonight. And I also want to put our address up for those of you who want to send us a video. Now remember, send in your videos for future shows. Videos can be on any subject, but must be on VHS format. That's just like your VCR in your living room there. It can be no longer than 5 minutes in length. Tapes cannot be returned without sufficient packaging and postage included. So if you want us to send your tape back, be sure to include a package to put it in that has postage on it enough to get it back to you. Otherwise, we'll keep it. Anyway, please send those videos to Street Level, care of Little Brother Productions, 1827 Northeast Broadway, Suite 4, Portland, Oregon, 97232. Final comments?
Good show.
All right.
Good show.
Thank you all for watching. God bless you.
That's
Good night.
Right. All right. Good night.
Oh, you can see us next week, Tuesday evening. Tuesday evening next week. No. Tuesday evening next week, and you can see a replay of this show on let's see, Friday at 10 p.m. on channel 27, and Monday at 10 p.m. on channel 11. Now, God bless you and goodbye.
That's forever, even though we may see a little stormy weather. Got to keep this ship from capsizing.